Happy Monday morning, everyone. We are starting off a new week, and I want to do a demo on something I've been wanting to do and thinking about doing for a long time. I just never kind of took the time, but had some time over the weekend to really kind of nail down what I wanted to do here. So first of all, Friday's video, sorry about the sound and the kind of making everybody cock their head and stuff. Ryan's not really used to filming with the iPhone or filming at all, but it was fun. We had a blast in California, and my son's really turning into a first-class sign carver, so we always have fun when we get together. We're going to do it again in a couple months. Anyway, all right, so today's deal is about a month ago, Robert Repine, one of our guys back east, sent me a piece of wood to try. This is Hemlock, and I've heard of Hemlock, but I've never played with it before. My sister and brother-in-law up in Alaska use almost exclusively this Hemlock. So I was going to do a review on this, but since I'm doing a review on this, Vicki and I were in Vegas not too long ago, and we picked up a couple of other pieces of new types of wood to try. So I'm actually going to do a review on 3 different kinds of wood. We've got Hemlock, we've got an exotic African Limba, which is really a cool looking board. And then we have another exotic, we have Purple Heart. And this stuff is, now chances are you're not going to make a sign out of this stuff, but I at least wanted to give you some insight of what I think about some of these stuff. And actually, if you guys have other pieces of wood that you want me to do a review on and see what I think of it, let me know, or shoot me a piece of it, and I'd be happy to kind of play with it and see. I love my job. Anyway, so what we were going to do is I'm going to actually just lay out some letters on these boards, and I'm going to take it all the way through the process, and I'm going to carve them. So I'm just going to kind of, oops, I want to put the H on there for Hemlock, and I want to put the L on the Limba. I just like saying that, Limba. It's kind of cool. And then the Purple Heart. This one has kind of a twist to the board.
Yeah, it's not that straight.
You can see it, huh? There's kind of a twist to it. So, let me just spray these real quick, and then I am we'll come right back and we'll carve them. Real light layout. All right, we'll let those dry and we'll come back and do some carving. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. I'm going to carve each one of these. I'm going to carve an inset letter in each one of these with my 60-degree V-groove in the little rigid router. And then I'm going to come back at the end. I've got some other test pieces that I did, and I'm going to talk about what I like, what I don't like, characteristics on each one of these. Again, this is something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and so this just gave me a good excuse to play with it. So let's carve the Hemlock first and see what happens here. I think I need to set that a little bit deeper. Yeah, that looks about right. All right. Nope, I got to go with my cheaters. I was going to do just my glasses, but I'm going to do my cheaters. Ah, that's better. All right, here we go. You can see that all right?
I will when you put it in.
Okay, so here's what I want to say on this particular one right now since we're here. If you watch when I came down this edge, I was coming toward me, and on this edge I was coming toward me. You'll notice that it actually, I was able to hold a really good line, a nice straight line. But yet when I went the other direction, when I was pushing up away from me over here and over here, you'll notice that it kind of jumped a little bit, especially up in here. So one thing that I want you to watch, and I'll put a link down below, is a video I did called Directional Carving. And if you're in the middle of carving something and you find that you're not being able to hold a straight line, especially on boards like this, which I'll get into the characteristics, try going the opposite direction. It could be that you'll be able to hold a better line going the other way. All right, so let's try the African Limba. God, I love saying that. All right, here we go. Doesn't it? This smells a lot like oak. That's what oak, and it actually has a porous surface grain a lot like oak. I've got whole, as I was carving these, doing my test, I got notes on all of it. I'm going to go over all of that stuff, but it does smell a lot like oak, whereas a hemlock really doesn't have a smell. There was no real smell. But yeah, again, you'll notice, just like what I said before, how straight that line is, but yet when I went up this line, you can see how it kind of went squirrely on me a little bit. I took some extra time and tried to straighten that out. Anyway, all right, so that's the Limba. Good chips on all of them, by the way. All of these actually cut pretty well. This is the hardest of the three. Here we go. So this one is definitely the most dense of the three. It's very solid, but the cool thing, it's very consistent. It's not soft, hard, like especially the Hemlock. But I'm going to go into, another thing that I wanted to say. See how that kind of burred up on me and fuzzed up on me? Well, my bit is fairly sharp. And if you get that a little bit, don't automatically assume that your bit is dull, because this bit actually is pretty sharp. Sometimes it just may be part of the wood. You'll notice that on the Hemlock, or on the Limba and on the Hemlock, I didn't get that at all. So it is, and that was the same bit, but I did get it on here. So sometimes it is the bit, but sometimes it could be the board itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back and we're going to show you our test pieces that I've sprayed and sanded off, inset and outset letters. I'm going to go over the characteristics of each one and let you know what I think. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take each of these pieces. This is the Purple Heart, really heavy. And as I was carving it, well, actually, I'll go ahead and bring this piece over too. This is what it looks like with a finish on it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Put it back the way it was.
There?
Hold that one up. A little more. Okay.
Does that work? It looks phenomenal with a finish on it. This just got 3 coats of the all of these have 3 coats of the Krylon clear gloss. I like the gloss. Some people like the satin or the semi-gloss. I like the gloss. Anyway, so my notes as I was carving this, I literally had a pad right next to me, and as I was carving it, I would stop and make notes. So the notes that I have on this Purple Heart, I'll stand that back up. We're winging it here. Is that better? Okay, so the notes I had on the Purple Heart. First thing I wrote down was it's very solid, very stable, and it's heavy. And the thing about a really heavy wood like that is it generally cuts really consistent, at least what I found. Meaning it's not hard, soft, it's hard all the way. And yeah, and actually that's not bad. So I found that. It doesn't really have a smell to it, like a cedar or a redwood or the Limba, which has kind of an oak smell. You definitely want sharp cutters, because I started to cut, you can't see it, but I literally, with my 90 degree, I started to cut this background. I got to here and it was smoking like it was going to catch fire. So I went and sharpened it and touched it up, and then it carved, the rest of the way it carved fine. So you definitely got to have your bits sharp, and my hunch is it will dull your bits faster than softwoods, but that's kind of no need to say that really. The chips came out really clean. They didn't stay in there or anything. They just it threw the chips really well, which is really a plus. And no bleeding. I don't have sanding sealer on any of this. I wanted to go with no sanding sealer, so I sprayed it, sanded it off. It sanded really good. It was actually, even though it was hard, and it sanded hard, so it took longer to take it off, but it was really smooth, really consistent. So I like it. I really do. It's super expensive. You know, this piece here cost $9.50. So, you know, it's super expensive, but if you have the chance and somebody wants a sign made out of the Purple Heart, you can absolutely do it. Just the biggest thing is keep your bits really sharp. So that is about what I had on the Purple Heart. Next is the Limba, the African Limba. And again,
Nice.
this stuff isn't really cheap either. This was a $9 board. It carved, let's see, what did I say? Oh, here's the piece with the finish on it, which is really spectacular. Man, I love the way it looks.
I love that green.
Yeah, it just, you can see the difference between no finish and then the finish, and it just kind of explodes.
Hold on, I'm going to zoom in on that. Can you
The
turn it at an angle just a little bit?
this way.
That's fine.
Yeah, the finish, or I mean the grain just really pops out
Gorgeous.
with a finish on it. So I love the way it looks. So my notes on this is it's light. It's not heavy like oak. You would think this would be a really heavy piece, but it's not. It's really light. But it reminds me of oak in the look, and the smell. Smells a lot like oak. But it cuts easy. It cuts almost like pine. However, you can see it does get a little squirrely. It has a little bit of a issue of soft hard, but nothing like a cedar or a redwood where you get a soft hard. Not quite that bad. It is. Let's see what else. It just reminds me of oak so much, but a light version of an oak. And again, no bleeding. I sprayed it, sanded it off. The chip flew out really, really well. It's very consistent. It's not as consistent as the Purple Heart, whereas it will get a little squirrely on you, but that may be just this particular board too. And you can see I was going through a really dark, hard grain there. But I really, really like it. If I would definitely use it again, no doubt about it. Again, it's pricey.
What about the bleeding on that one?
No bleeding. No bleeding, and it sanded super easy. It sanded consistent like the Purple Heart, but it didn't sand hard like the Purple Heart. It sanded really easy. It came off really, really well. These are only sanded down to about 175, I think, or something. The one on my little Porter cable sander, but it sands really well. So it definitely a thumbs up with the Limba. I really like it. I love that grain. Now the Purple Heart, I love the grain too, but to me it almost looks like mahogany now. It almost has a mahogany look. So you kind of, it's almost like it and that clear spray is clear. It's a very beautiful board, no doubt.
You lose the color.
Yeah, you kind of lose the purple a little bit. It almost turns it brown like a mahogany, but it's beautiful. It's gorgeous wood. All right, so the last but not least is the Hemlock, and again, this is something that my sister uses almost exclusively on her signs. This is what it looks like with a finish on it. Looks really nice. The grain shows up really well. So the notes that I had made on this is it's light. Again, it's very, very light. And this stuff is all dry too. But it does have the soft hard thing going. So like you guys saw when I did the example. So that's the drawback with this stuff is if you're carving it freehand. Of course, my sister uses all CNCs to do her stuff. But if you're carving it freehand, you can see it got kind of squirrely on me right there when it hits the grain, soft hard. So that's one aspect of it. No smell really. Doesn't really have a smell to it. You probably want to keep your bits really sharp when you're doing this, just so the difference between the hard and the soft isn't as dramatic. If your bits are really sharp, then you won't feel that near as much. It has a feel almost like a real grainy piece of cedar. It's light like that, but again, hard on the grains and soft in between the grains. It definitely did not bleed. I didn't see any bleeding at all. It sanded super easy. Now, one thing that I would say, especially on this out of the three, is you can see it. This piece that Robert Repine, this is what Robert Repine sent to me. It definitely had it got a cup to it. So what I do when I have a boards that I get back here that I think are going to be like that, I seal up the edges with sanding sealer. I just take my sanding sealer and seal up the edges. Even if you just had this, it's better than nothing. Something to seal up the edges, because that's where the moisture will get into the board and it'll cause that cup. So the bigger one, even, you can see it's got a cup to it. And I don't know whether it had a cup to it when Robert sent it to me, but when it came out of the package, it did have a cup to it. So that is, of all of the three, I think this is the most susceptible to getting a cup or a warp to it. But again, it carved nice. I would have no problem making signs out of any of this. I really don't know what Hemlock costs. Robert, he just sent this piece to me. These two I bought. So I don't know what this stuff costs. My hunch is it's fairly inexpensive if you can get it. We don't have it around here. So, you guys would have to check that out yourself. But anyway, I had a blast doing this. If you guys, let me know if you like this kind of, what is this? I'm losing my words here.
Demo.
Yeah, this kind of a demo or these kind of reviews on different kinds of woods, because I found a couple places up in Vegas that got all kinds of stuff. And if you guys have a certain type of wood that you want my opinion on, if you want to shoot me a small piece of it, I'll absolutely do a review. I think I've got a couple right now coming, and I'll absolutely do a review. But let me know whether you guys like this kind of thing as far as a review on this stuff. But it's fun. It's really fun. I've actually got some more stuff that I just picked up the other day that I want to do a review on. So that is it, guys. Hope this was helpful. If you have any questions at all, obviously, always email me directly, eric@makerwoodsign.com. I miss a lot of stuff that goes through Facebook, and I understand some of you, that's the way you kind of message, but I hope that you understand that I don't check that a lot. I'm trying to, but I stay pretty busy checking just my email. So email me if you have any questions. If you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love for you to subscribe. And don't forget to click that little bell icon so you get notifications. Also, I'm posting every day on Instagram, Make a Wood Sign. So there'll be links in the description below. Thanks again for watching, guys. Thanks for all the support. We love you all, and we'll see you on Wednesday. Bye.